Don't drive until you hear this. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through every major UK driving law change coming in 2026. And some of these could genuinely cost you your license, your money, or even land you in court if you don't know about them. Whether you're a brand new learner, a seasoned driver, or someone who just leases a company car, there's something in this video that affects you. So stick around, because rule number 4 alone could catch out thousands of ordinary drivers who have no idea it's coming. Let's start with the changes that are already locked in and affecting learner drivers right now, because these aren't proposals, they're happening. If you're learning to drive or you know someone who is, listen closely. From the end of March 2026, learners were limited to just 2 changes on their driving test booking. If you'd already used up your changes under the old system, you got 2 more from that date, but that's it going forward. And here's the catch. If you change more than 1 detail at the same time, say the date and the test center together, that still only counts as 1 change, not 2. So use them wisely. Then, from the 12th of May, 2026, it became illegal for anyone other than the learner driver themselves to book, change, or cancel a car driving test. That includes driving instructors. So if you're an instructor who's used to managing your pupils' test bookings for them, that's no longer allowed. Pupils now have to handle it themselves using their own test reference number. Any tests that were already booked before this date are still valid, but from here on, it's on the learner. And then just a few weeks later, from the 9th of June 2026, there's a 3rd change specifically about test centers. Learners can now only move their test to one of the 3 nearest test centers, to where it was originally booked. So no more jumping across the country to grab an earlier slot somewhere far away. This one's really about stopping people gaming the system to get quicker test dates, but it also means you need to plan more realistically around your local area. On top of all that, learner drivers are also going to see changes to the theory test itself. From early 2026, the first aid section is being updated to include better questions on CPR and using an automated external defibrillator, or AED. This is a genuinely good change if you ask me. Road accidents are one of the most common situations where basic first aid knowledge saves lives, and right now, the UK's out-of-hospital cardiac arrest survival rate is shockingly low. So if you're studying for your theory test soon, make sure your revision materials are up to date, because this content is new. Now let's talk about something that affects almost every single driver in the country. Whether you're a learner or you've had your license for 30 years, drink driving limits. At the moment, the limit in England and Wales sits at 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood, while Scotland already has a lower limit of 50 milligrams. As part of the government's new road safety strategy, there's a proposal on the table to bring England and Wales in line with Scotland, dropping that limit down to 50 milligrams. But here's the part that should really grab your attention if you're a new driver. There's a separate proposal for learners and anyone who's recently passed their test to face a much stricter limit, expected to sit around 20 milligrams, which is effectively close to zero tolerance. Now, I want to be clear, a lot of this is still in the proposal stage and hasn't been fully legislated yet, but this is the direction the government is heading, and it's worth planning your habits around it now rather than being caught out later. Linked to this, there's also serious discussion around alcohol interlock devices, sometimes called alcolocks, for repeat drink driving offenders. These are essentially breathalyzers wired into the car's ignition system, so the vehicle simply won't start unless the driver passes a breath test first. If this comes into force, it means some drivers convicted of drink driving may only be allowed back on the road if they have one of these fitted. Next up, and this one affects a huge chunk of the population, mandatory eyesight tests for drivers aged 70 and over. Right now, there are millions of drivers in this age bracket, and current rules only require them to self-declare that their eyesight meets the legal standard when they renew their license every 3 years. There's no actual proof required. The new proposal would change that, requiring drivers over 70 to undergo an actual eye test every 3 years rather than just ticking a box. There's also a related proposal that would require healthcare professionals to legally report to the DVLA if they believe a patient is unfit to drive due to vision or cognitive issues. If you've got parents or grandparents still driving into their 70s and 80s, this is one to keep on your radar because it could directly affect whether their license gets renewed. Now let's move on to something that's going to hit your wallet directly, and that's seatbelt enforcement. Right now, if you're caught not wearing a seatbelt, you're looking at a fine of up to 500 pounds. But under the proposed changes, that penalty could get a lot more serious, with drivers and passengers potentially facing penalty points added to their license on top of the fine. And here's something a lot of parents don't realize. As the driver, you can be held legally responsible if a child in your car isn't wearing their seatbelt correctly, even if you personally have yours on. So this isn't just about your own belt, it's about everyone in that vehicle. Let's talk money now, because 2026 is shaping up to be an expensive year for UK motorists across the board. First, electric vehicles. If your EV was registered on or after the 1st of April 2025, you're now paying full standard vehicle excise duty of around £195 a year, the same as everyone else. The days of EVs being completely exempt from road tax are effectively over. And looking further ahead, from 2028, EV drivers will also start paying a new pay-per-mile charge called Electric Vehicle Excise Duty, with fully electric cars charged around 3 pence per mile and plug-in hybrids around 1.5 pence per mile. If you drive a company car, benefit in kind rates are climbing too. Electric company cars are moving from 3% up to 4% for the 2026 to 2027 tax year, and that's set to rise again the year after. Meanwhile, higher emission company cars could be looking at rates as high as 37%. So if your business is choosing new company vehicles this year, the emissions rating matters more than ever. Fuel duty is another big one to watch. It's been frozen for a long time, including that 5 pence per liter cut that's been in place since 2022. But the plan now is for that freeze to end in September 2026, with the cut reversed and fuel duty beginning to rise in line with inflation for the first time in over a decade. So if you're a high mileage driver, brace yourself for petrol and diesel costs creeping back up later in the year. If you drive in London, the congestion charge has already gone up this year, rising from £15 to £18 a day if you pay on or before the day of travel, and from £17.50 up to £21 if you pay within 3 days afterward. Electric vehicles still get a discount, but it's shrinking too, down to 25% off rather than a full exemption. And for anyone buying a new car this year, watch out for the expensive car supplement, sometimes called the luxury car tax. This is increasing from the 1st of April 2026 as part of wider vehicle excise duty changes. There is a small silver lining though. The threshold before this extra charge kicks in is rising from £40,000 up to £50,000, which means fewer electric and zero-emission vehicles will actually get hit by it. On the environmental side, all new cars and vans being manufactured will need to meet the stricter Euro 7 emission standards from the 29th of November 2026. This is part of a wider push to cut harmful exhaust emissions and improve air quality across the country, and it's going to shape what kind of new vehicles manufacturers are able to sell in the UK going forward. Now, away from cost and safety rules, there's also a quieter but genuinely significant shift happening with enforcement technology. Speed camera systems in many areas have been upgraded and are now capable of detecting multiple offenses at once, not just speed. And mobile phone enforcement has become noticeably stricter too. It's already illegal to hold and use a phone while driving, but new roadside camera technology means officers can now detect phone use even without directly observing the driver themselves. For newer drivers especially, this matters a lot, because if you passed your test within the last 2 years and you rack up 6 penalty points, that can lead to automatic license revocation. So those first 2 years on the road really are a probation period in the eyes of the law. Finally, there's one longer-term development worth knowing about, even if it won't affect your daily drive just yet, and that's the digital driving license. The government is developing this through the gov.uk wallet and your DVLA account, but as it stands, it's being introduced alongside your existing photo card rather than replacing it, and the wallet system isn't fully ready for general use yet. So for now, keep carrying your physical license as normal, but don't be surprised if this becomes a bigger talking point later in the year. So to sum all of this up, tighter rules on test bookings for learners, potential changes to drink driving limits with a much stricter threshold for new drivers, mandatory eyesight tests likely coming for over 70s, tougher seatbelt penalties, rising costs across EV tax, company car tax, fuel duty and congestion charging, plus stricter enforcement technology on the roads. Some of these changes are already law and others are still proposals working their way through government. But either way, this is clearly the direction UK driving regulation is heading in 2026. If you found this useful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to be tracking every single one of these changes as they get confirmed throughout the year, along with the exact dates they come into force. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these changes affects you the most. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, stay safe on the roads, and I'll see you in the next video.